Hey everyone, Danielle here. I'm doing a solo tutorial for Wreckland Run. So this is a game that's been pretty high on my playlist, at least for solo gaming, because this is a solo only game. I've got this already set up. This is chapter 1, so hopefully you don't mind seeing the contents of chapter 1. But this is the envelope that some cards came in. It says chapter 1 and it has the icon that has to do with the chapter here on the bottom right. So with that, I decided to actually choose the Roadrunner as my vehicle. So the Roadrunner comes with these three parts already printed on the board itself. And then when I opened the chapter 1 envelope, the confetti cannon was one card that was in the envelope, and you can see on the bottom left the icon matches the envelope, so if you needed to reset this game you know exactly what card to include there. In the envelope there were also 2 enemy cards that got shuffled into the enemy deck, so that's in there. And then also we had this big fossil card, which is kind of like the boss card. We'll be able to hopefully defeat this in round 3. So this won't be a full playthrough, but it will go through just about all the rules you'll need to know to get started. And so I might go through some turns just to show you what all of that looks like. So in addition to the vehicle that you choose, I chose a Roadrunner. I chose a driver. And the driver I chose is Cuddles. It says, run after all white dice have been assigned, repair 2 damage. So that will make more sense once I explain the phases. Over here you'll see 3 cards. These are the upgrade part cards for the 3 cards that were printed on this vehicle board. So you see we have Twin Blasters, Automatic Reloader, and Lifeline. And then here you're going to see the card. This is for Twin Blasters, and on the bottom here you'll see a symbol for multiple dice equals 15. So that actually is the cost to install the part, and I guess in this case to upgrade the part because we have the part already. So for Twin Blasters you would need to use dice that total up to 15 in terms of value. It has to be exactly 15. For Roadrunner's automatic reloader upgrade, you're going to need 4 dice with the same exact value. For the Lifeline upgrade, you're going to need multiple dice with values of 17 exactly. Okay. You do have a journal, and this is this is what that looks like. This is the front. I've already opened it up to the chapter 1 side with the boss here. I'm just going to place this card here just to save space. You have a round tracker that looks like this, and it goes right on the rounds to kind of track where you are, because it's important to know which round you are on. On the bottom here you'll see a wreckage phase and a run phase chart. This will be important when you utilize the red dice. The red dice are, I guess, more riskier dice, so that if you were to use the red dice you actually have to roll it, and then you have to do one of the effects depending on if you're in the wreckage or run phase. Yeah, so in terms of the setup, you would just shuffle up the enemy cards, the part cards, and then you'll just have the destruction deck just off to the side. So here's a close-up of what this card looks like. Destruction, it says repair. You put basically a pair of matching dice to repair it. So in this game, throughout this game, you will eventually, I mean, it may not be something that happens to you, but when I've played this game, my parts have become destroyed. And when that happens, you place this card on top of the part that has been destroyed. And to repair that, you have to place 2 of your dice here. And then you can remove the card, and it's all healthy and everything. To explain more about the card itself, for the parts, we have a couple sections to look at here. This first top section is basically the base ability, and that means 1 damage. This is the precise hit of ability, and this is basically saying you're going to do 2 damage to all vehicles in that section. This 4 is the dice you have to place to get this additional ability in addition to the base ability. Otherwise, to activate this part, you have to place a die that is greater than 4. If you don't have a 4 or higher, you can't actually activate this card. The bottom left is the health. That's how many damage you could take before getting destroyed. And then the bottommost number, the bottommost section tells you the name of the card or the part, and it also tells you the cost to install the part. So this would have required 3 matching dice to install it on your vehicle. You will notice some parts. I could just pull up an example here. Some parts will have this red border or barbed wire, if you want to call it that. It could be on any of the 4 sides of the card. And this will just give you more of an incentive to place it on the edge of your vehicle, where the barbed wire would be on the edge, I guess. So for this card, you might want to place it here or here, because this has a lot to do with the ram ability of your car. So you'll see here in the center, there's a ram ability. And to do the ram ability, you could place one of your dice here, and you could place as many dice as you would like, and you can ram. And you'd count how many barbed wire parts you have along a section of your car. So if you think about it, there are 4 sections to your car. So there's 4 possible sections for your vehicle. So when you say you want to ram something, you have to count how many barbed wire is on that side of the car that you want to attack the enemies on, and then you can deal that much damage to the enemies, split however you'd like. So that'll make more sense when I go through some of the gameplay. Okay, and then I will explain the enemy cards now. So this is an example of an enemy card. We have the name of the enemy, and then we have what they will do if they're activated. This is the die that would be placed to activate this enemy, and then this bottom number will show you the health. So that's how much damage you could take before it's destroyed. So say an enemy was here in the right section of my vehicle, and I were to place a die here for ram, and I say I have 1 barbed wire edge here, so I can do 1 damage to an enemy. So I would just place 1 damage on this enemy. If I had multiple enemies, I could choose which enemy to place the damage on. So yeah, I'd place that 1 damage, and that's how you notate that. Something to note is if you were to get exactly 6 damage, I'll say that this is equal to 5 damage. Say this is exactly 6 damage and it matches this number that's on the card. That means you can actually take this enemy card, it's destroyed essentially, and you take it into your scrap. So you basically have scrap cards, and you do start the game with a certain amount of scrap cards. In easy mode, you get 4, which is typically how I play. So I would have a total of 4 to start with. So say these were my 4. And how you can use these is if you were to try to place or activate a part with dice that you don't have, you can use your scrap, whether you gained it from killing an enemy or gaining it from the wreckage. Yeah, it would have to be from killing an enemy, actually. So there are other card abilities that let you gain it otherwise, but you could use these dice as if you rolled them. And that's the only use of them in the scrap, as scrap, is these dice. So that's pretty cool. And when you use them, you don't have to roll any red dice for the red dice abilities. So that's another benefit. So you really do want to try to have a good supply of scrap throughout the game. Okay, I think we could get started and maybe get a few turns in. Okay, so as I said, in easy mode you get 4 enemy cards to start as your scrap. So I'll go ahead and do that. So I have a 3, 3, 6, 4 in my scrap pile right now. So I'll kind of just place them here. And round 1 says wreckage. You draw 7 part cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So at this point, I guess I'll tell you how to win the game. To win the game, you have to be able to defeat the big fossil in round 3. So that's what the goal is. And if you're not able to defeat the big fossil and you explode, meaning your vehicle ends up taking, I guess, at least 9 damage, you will lose. Roadrunner has 9, I guess, defense value. So something to note as well is if you were to get hit and take damage in the core, that's what this middle section of your vehicle is called, the core. You can't actually repair damage from the core. And when I say repair, there's a repair action that you can take by using dice that either match or are greater than the die value listed on the part. So if you were to do this in wreckage, in the wreckage phase, if you placed, for example, a 3 here, you could repair all the damage that is on the card. If you placed a die value that is greater than 3, you only repair 2 damage that's on the card. And pretty much similar to the wreckage phase, you could do a repair action in the run phase, but the values are different. So if the die placed is higher than the value shown, you repair 1 damage on a card. If the die placed is exact, you repair 2. So there's no way for you to repair all the damage during the run phase, only the wreckage phase. Okay, so let's see what I got in my hand. And in the wreckage phase, basically you're trying to install as many parts as you can on your vehicle to prepare for the run phase, which is when you'll likely be attacked and damaged. So there's a couple of different icons here. I won't explain them all. There is a great icon reference on the rule book, so you could take a look there. But if you want to pause here just to see what all the icons mean, go ahead. But this is great and helpful, and so I don't think I will review all of them. But yeah, so in the wreckage phase, you'll have these 7 cards, and then we'll also want to roll out dice so that we can place them. All right. So I think I'm going to want to try to at least install 2 parts. I found that if I install at least 2, that I do pretty well. Let me see if I can get all these cards up on the screen. So again, the cost is on the bottom. If I wanted this one, which, I don't know, is very weak. It only does 1 damage to everything. So I like to do at least 2 because there's a thing called shields, I guess. So if an enemy has shields, they take that much less damage depending on the value of that. All right. Let me sort the dice. I'll have 1, 2, 2, 4, 6 for white, and 2, 2, 4. So another use of these parts is if I know I'm not going to want to install on my vehicle, I could discard it and reroll any amount of dice that's in my pool. So I might want to do that. But for now, that would be expensive. I'm thinking about doing Doom Sneezer because if I were to get the precise placement, I guess, I could use the ability to change the value up and down by 1 for 2 dice, which I think is pretty good, and also has 2 damage. So I think I'm going to be aggressive and use the 6 the 4, and then the 1. That brings me to a value of 11. So I've now installed the Doom Sneezer, and keeping in mind the barbed wire, I want it on the edge, so I put it here. Cool. So next I will install the explosive pole. I have 2 2s, so I'll use that to install this, and I'll place it right here, keeping in mind the barbed wire. That's at the top. And I'm a little hesitant to use any red dice because then I'll be forced to re-roll it and do an effect if it rolls 4 or higher. So I definitely, don't think I'll be doing that. So I think, unless I want to use my scrap, which I don't really want to right now, I want to save it. I'm going to end the wreckage phase, discard these remaining part cards, return my dice, and get to the run phase. So run phase, you have to put out some enemies. You do 1, 1, and it tells you how many to put around the car. So you put it just like that. Okay. You should be able to see everything shortly. Okay. And then my scrap cards, just put here, I guess. This way I remember I can use them. So in this phase, you roll all the dice. That's the first step. And then the enemy gets to attack. You look at the red dice. I have a 1, 6, and a 2. You get to pick a die, and you have to place it on one of the enemies that match that value. And it's my choice. So I think I'll go ahead and put it on. This is actually a difficult choice because I don't have too many choices. It's either the nightmare fuel or the nightmare fuel. I'll place it on this nightmare fuel because I just have more health to play with here to defend this attack. So this is going to do 1 attack on 1 part. Now I get to decide which part. And I'll do it on this confetti cannon, and then it's going to do 2 damage to another part. I'll put it on this one. Alright, and after an enemy attacks, it's going to just rotate clockwise around to the next section of the vehicle. So that's how it kind of moves around so it doesn't stay in one place, which I think is a pretty cool part of the game. Now on my turn, I get to choose up to 3 white dice to place and activate the abilities on my parts, or repair or ram, or do something like that. I could also place a 1 or 2 on my core to re-roll any dice of all the same color, increase or decrease by value of a die by 1, or store a die here so that it can't be re-rolled later. So I guess in that case, I will use the part called Doom Sneezer. And don't know. Yeah, Doom Sneezer I'll do. And because it is a 4, which matches this exactly, I will increase, I'm sorry, I'll decrease this 5 to a 4. And I will increase this 2 to a 3. That's me doing the precise hit ability. Now the base ability is 2 damage, so I get to do 2 damage to something here. I'll do the 2 damage to blood and gas because Nightmare Fuel has a shield, and so I'll only be able to place 1 damage, so I'd rather place 2 here. And then I'll place a 4 here. That'll be my second die placement. This is an exact precise hit. Discard to deal 2 to 8 damage to a single target instead. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to discard and do 6 damage here and defeat it. And that means I did an exact, a perfect hit, I guess. And so I gained this into my scrap pile. And then I get to place one more die, and I'm going to place the 3 here. And it is exactly a 3, so it matches the die value. So I get to do the bonus, which means I can do a total of 2 damage to this vehicle, which it has 1 shield, so it only does 1. Alright, so you can see I was able to do 2 attacks, but only 1 vehicle existed. I can't, unfortunately, put 2 attacks on 1 vehicle. It has to be 2 separate attacks. So I only did 1 attack. So with that, I go back and re-roll everything that's left in the pool, and then they will place their dice. There's only one choice here. They can only place the 5 on burnt again. They're going to do 1 damage to all my parts on this section, and so it's going to take 1 here on automatic reloader. Let's see. In terms of taking damage, I just have to double check 1 ruling. Alright, so I confirmed that burnt again did a basically a multi-attack, and unfortunately these 2 spots are considered open spots and they do get attacked. So 2 damage goes through to the core. And that's not good. I have 7 damage left to take. Alright, this will move down to this section. And I have a 1 and a 6. I could place the 6 on... I think I'll have to just place it here. I won't get this bonus ability though. But I'll go ahead and... Well, you know what? No, I can't. Yeah, no, I will use this scrap. I'll use Fury of Flames to essentially put a 4 and activate the confetti cannon. And so I will do a total of 3 damage to this, to that enemy. 3. Okay. Alright. And then I'm going to place a 1 here to re-roll this 6. It's a 4, which is... it's alright. I could place it on this lifeline and do 2 damage here. So that is a total of 5 exactly, which matches the strength here of 5. So this becomes scrap. Alright. So lastly, we roll this. Alright, 5. So there's nowhere to put it. And in that case, we have to re-roll it and look at the run phase ability. So it's a 1, deal 4 damage to a part of your choice, ignoring all shields. So I'll deal 4 here, since this has 6 health. So now it has a total of 5 damage. Alright. So at this point, we check to see if we have 2 or less enemies. We don't. We still have 4. So we actually have to take back all the dice. I guess I could have decided if I wanted to use some of my scrap and activate more parts, but let's say that I decided not to. And so I will just restart the run phase essentially until I have 2 or less enemies out. And then at that point, when you do have 2 or less, you go on to the next wreckage phase of round 2. So that's pretty much how the game goes. Hopefully you were able to follow along pretty well. I also forgot that I can do the cuddles here. Repair 2 damage. So let me just do that quickly for the sake of it. Yeah. That's how you play basically the first round of Wreckland's run. I hope it was clear and that I went slow enough for you to kind of see how this game works. I really like this game. There is a lot of little rules to remember. Like when I play, I for some reason constantly forget to move the enemies as they attack me. It's just not intuitive for me to remember to do that. I also always forget that I have these parts to upgrade when I am in my wreckage phase. So those are just some things I tend to forget. Another thing that I also forget is when you attack with the exact number listed in the green box, you do get to keep it as scrap. In this video I did remember, but you know, something to note there. So there's a lot of these like little rules that I tend to forget, but I think the more I play, the more I get accustomed to remembering all those little rules. Anyway, I'm curious if you like this game, and what chapter would be your favorite. I've only done chapter 1 so far a couple times, so I'm interested to see the rest of the game. All right, well, appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys around. Thanks.